cannot exist without an host. It has to have something to live off of. Parables was how Jesus spoke and taught and preached to his audiences. So he gives to us an actual, literal occurrence that everybody knew about. He said, you remember this certain man who went down from Jerusalem to Jericho? Evidently it had been headlined in their circulars and newspapers or a magazine or whatever the news headline was. Everybody knew about this individual that Jesus was talking about. He said a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. First thing I want to tell you today is there's only one direction that you can go from Jerusalem. There's only one direction you can go from the church, and that is down. There's only one direction you can go from righteousness and Jesus Christ, and that is down. Nobody leaves Jesus and goes up and gets better. Nobody leaves the church or quits living for God and goes up and gets better. But what happened to this individual? When this man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, he fell among thieves. This is a parabolic picture of the end-time human race, not just this one individual. To begin with, the thief is the devil. The thief comes but to steal and to kill and to destroy. And he is on the prowl this very day as a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And when this man goes down from Jerusalem, he falls among thieves. That thief is the devil himself, who number one strips him of his raiment. He loses his covering. He is vulnerable. He has no protection. He is uncovered. He is naked. When Adam fell in the garden, he lost the covering that God created him to have. He fell among the devil. The devil stripped him of his raiment. How do we know? Because he hid himself, realizing that he was naked. Because the covering God had chosen for him was God's presence. When he sinned, his eyes were open, realizing that he was naked, and sin brought shame. Stripped of his raiment. We have a world today that is uncovered. They are vulnerable to the devil. They have no protection against Satan. Satan has stripped them of their dignity, of their pride, of their goodness and their righteousness. When he strips them of his raiment, the Bible said that he wounded him. The devil's not as interested in stripping you of your covering, your righteousness and your holiness and your goodness, but he wants to wound you. He wants to destroy you. He wants to make shipwreck of your life, your marriage, your family, your finances, your faith, your everything. Look what sin does to a man. It debilitates him. Drugs and alcohol, cirrhosis of the liver, lung cancer, incurable diseases. That's what sin does to people. Strips him of his raiment, wounds him, and when the devil gets through with you, he leaves you and goes to his next grave. He will leave you and move on to his next victim. Departed and leaving him half dead. Half dead. Why does the Bible say 25% or 75% dead? Because when Adam fell, he was dead to the things of the Spirit of God, but he was alive to the things of the flesh of humanity. And that's what this entire world represents today. Because in Adam, we all sin. The Bible tells us we're born in sin, shaped into iniquity. There's none good, though not one. You didn't have to born again. So he was half dead. In Adam, we are all half dead. But when you come to Jesus Christ, Romans 5:12-14, 1 Corinthians 15:46, as you have written here on your lesson, that first man is of the earth, he's Adam, but the second man is the Lord from heaven. So everything you did before your spiritual birth, you were a part of the Adamic race. Lying, stealing, cheating, murdering, sexual immorality sins. But when you get born again, you become a part of the Jesus race, the second Adam, the last Adam. That's why you put away the works of the flesh and begin to walk in the Spirit. And now you portray love and joy and peace and long-suffering and gentleness and meekness and kindness. Look what we have written here. When this man goes down from Jerusalem, stripped of his raiment, wounded, and left half dead. And there are some individuals that come his way. These individuals were directed by God to go the way of this man who was bloody, who was bruised, who was half dead, and who was naked. He had been robbed. The priest and Levite passed by him. They represent false religion. They represent a religion that does not have time for the people that Jesus took the most time for. Do you know that Jesus preached his longest biblical sermon to a woman who had been married 5 times and was not married to the man that she was living with? Jesus took the most time for the people that nobody else had time for. Jesus took time out for lepers. Jesus took time out for children. He said, suffer the children to come to me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Jesus took time out for tax collectors. Jesus took time out for the people that nobody else had time for. You can tell a lot about a person's religion by how they treat people that can do nothing for them in return. You can tell a lot about a person's spirituality by how they treat the people that are not as good as them, so to speak. But I can tell you, when you get Jesus inside here, it'll make you love everybody. It'll make you love them, red, brown, yellow, black, and white, rich and poor, Democrat, Republican, pretty, ugly, short, or tall. It don't matter who it is, the parable of the Good Samaritan is going to find you there. The priest and the Levite take one look at him, and they pass by on the other side. We don't have time for the people that Jesus created us to help. If you don't have time to help somebody that needs to be lifted up, then you're too busy. If you don't have time on your job, if you don't have time in your church, if you don't have time in your life, any aspect of your life, then you are missing the mark today. Proverbs 11:30 said, he that winneth souls is wise. To get into heaven, Hebrews 12:14, you have to have holiness. To abide in the house of the Lord forever, it takes goodness and mercy to follow you. If you're going to enter the kingdom of heaven, you must be born again of water and spirit. But if you're going to be wise, then you are a soul winner. For he that winneth souls is wise. The prerequisite for wisdom is soul winning. And to be a soul winner, you must be wise. The priest and the Levite passing by, but the Good Samaritan is the model servant. You know why the priest and the Levite passed him up? Because had they come in contact with this bloodied man, bruised man, diseased man, they would have been made ceremonially unclean. And the priest and the Levite would have had to go through purification processes. Because you couldn't touch a man that had blood on him. You couldn't touch a man that was defiled and was bruised and was beaten and naked. So they said, we don't have time for him. We're too busy doing the work of God. We don't have time for him. We're on our way to church. We don't have time for him. We're on our way to take care of the house of God. Listen, that is the business of the house of God. Take time for him. That is the business of the kingdom of God. the ministry of multiplication. It means, Adam, I want you to be fruitful, reproduce, be reproductive. Go make more people like you. Not only be fruitful, but multiply. Make sure that when you multiply, that the people that you produce do the same thing, because this is not a one-generational movement, Adam, but there's for the next 6,000 years of man's history. I am counting on you. That's why the world is pushing effeminatism and homosexuality, because it cannot reproduce. That's what Satan is pushing, because it cannot reproduce. And that's what the religious world, if we're not careful, we are going to be what the devil wants us to be, and be a dead church, an unproductive church. Nothing breeds the Holy Ghost worse than unproductivity. But when you get the Holy Ghost like you ought to have it, you will be fruitful, you will produce fruit of the Spirit, you will multiply. Everybody around you will be like you. Luke chapter 6 and verse 40. Every student, when he is perfect, will be just like his master. You know what that means? Jesus said, the people that you are training, when they become mature, are going to be just like you. I wonder if I ask you a question this morning. Those that are following you in your Sunday school rooms, on your bus routes, in your church, when they look at you, are you comfortable with them being like you? When you pray, are you comfortable with them praying like you? When you witness, are you comfortable with them witnessing like you? Because every student, when he has matured, will be just like his teacher. And I want to make sure today to make straight paths for my feet, lest that which is lame be turned out of the way. So whatever I do in moderation, those coming after me are going to do in excess. If I sin in moderation, they're going to sin in excess. If you give the devil an inch, he'll take a mile. But if I am goodness and righteousness and holiness and purity and love and joy and peace, and I have temperance and meekness and kindness, then my people that are looking at me and those children that I'm reaching every day of the week, they're going to strive to be like me, because we need to be their heroes. We need to be their role models. We need to be their disciplers. Jesus said, go ye therefore teaching all nations, making disciples of them. The goal is not just to baptize people. Matthew 28 and 19 says, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Ghost, teaching them and making disciples of them. The beginning is when you get people baptized and filled with the Holy Ghost, but that's not the end. That's why it's a crime to have a crusade and just baptize a lot of people and play a lot of people through for a number on the scoreboard, but you never teach them a Bible study. You never put them in the church. You never pray for them. You never go out and eat with them. You never pick up the phone and call them. That's what the Bible commands you to do. Once people get saved, we ought to teach them. We ought to disciple them. I'm upset with the church that thinks we should only go to church one time a week. And I've done my Jesus stuff. I'm saying it Sunday. Oh, when you get Jesus, it's Sunday morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's a lifestyle. It's a life. It's down inside of you. Everywhere I go, I got to talk about Jesus. Everything I do, I got to talk about Jesus. Everybody I come in contact, I got to talk about Jesus. And most of what you're saying is not coming out of your mouth. People watch you. Men don't read their Bibles, but they read your life. I go to restaurants and see Pentecostals. They don't talk to me. If you ain't talking to me, I know you're not talking to the sinner. Because I'm a brother. And if you can't even talk to your brother, what makes you think you're going to talk to a stranger? We Christians need to mature. If we can't be good to our brother and our neighbor, the devil says, I ain't going to worry about them sinner. But brother, when you get the Holy Ghost like you ought to have it, when you get the Holy Ghost like you ought to have it, they passed on the other side, but here comes the Good Samaritan. He saw him. He had compassion on him. Soul winners are compassionate people. Soul winners are caring people. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right. That's right.
People don't care how many scriptures you can quote until they know how much you care.
That's right. That's right.
People don't care how holy you are until they know how much you care about Him. The Good Samaritan was the least likely one to do what got done. It should have been the priest and the Levite that went to it. But the Good Samaritan, well, I feel the Holy Ghost now.
Come on, Pastor.
The Good Samaritan went down to where he was. Is your religion so good that you can't go down to where the down and hours are? Are you so clean that you can't dirty yourself with people who have diseases and don't sound so good?
Come on, Pastor.
God oftentimes puts angels in our path
Yes, He does.
to see how we're going to minister to those angels.
Yes, He does.
Yesterday I was so busy I couldn't think straight. There were two people out on the front lawn right at the entrance of the church early in the morning who had run out of gas. The car should have been impounded a long time ago. They had bathed in God knows when. They were unkempt. I told the woman the man was stoned out of his mind. Meth had eaten up his face and sores, pus-filled sores on his face and body. The woman smelled so horrific, I almost gagged. And I said, come on, we're going to get you some gas. I put her in the car with him. Come on, I was wondering why I was spraying pledge and Windex and everything in my Jeep yesterday. It's because she was so filthy and unkempt. I took her, filled her can up with diesel, our can up with diesel, 5 gallons, and brought it to her. And God is not with us. By the time I had put her out of the Jeep and put that diesel can into that man's hand, I looked at my side view mirror and they were nowhere to be seen. We entertain angels in the air. God puts people in our paths to see how we're going to treat them. How are we going to do for them? How are we going to help those who don't deserve help, who are unworthy, who you think are unworthy? The Good Samaritan has compassion on them. He goes to where he is. He gets down and bloodies himself. He pours in oil and wine in the wounds of the man. The oil is the Holy Ghost. The wine is the Holy Ghost. That's the love. You need to love on people.
Yes.
You need to love on people. You need to love on people.
Yes.
You need to love on people.
Yes.
You need to love on people. You picked him up and you put him on his own beast. You go to that worst neighborhood in your city and you knock on the door and the clothes are dirty and there's no shoes on their feet, but you pick them up and you put them on your bus. The Good Samaritan was the first bus minister in the New Testament.
Yes, He was.
He put him on his beast. And he brought him to the inn. That's the house of God.
That's right.
And he puts it in the hand of the innkeeper. That's the pastor.
Yes.
And he gives him 2 pence. That's the Old and the New Testament. And he says, Pastor, take care of him. Be gentle with him. Be gentle with my little girl. She's in an abusive relationship. Be gentle with my little nephew. He's been molested. He's orphaned. Be gentle with him. Second stop on our bus route 6. We're going to go there with me today. 26 Sundays out of the year, 4 little beautiful girls come letting out of the house and say, call the sheriff, call the police. That is children, Mom. She can't come to church today. I try to call her, she doesn't answer the phone. You call the police snap them on the wrist. They get out of jail 12 hours later. And it's much worse when they get out. Those 4 little girls suspended out of their house for a solid year. Every Saturday, 52 Saturdays. Knock on their door. Grandmother says, she's wasting time. Mom's not going to let these kids come to church. Children. Kids and goats. Children. Every Saturday, we get knocking on that door. That grandmother, drinking and smoking, terrible environment, drugs all around them, filthy streets, sewage coming up out of the gutters. But after 1 solid year of faithfulness, door knocking, repetition, and steadfastness, those 4 girls had crisis in their life, and they got their butts, and the mom got on their boat, and the mom got baptized, and the 4 little girls got baptized. And that grandmother who died just a few weeks after that, I had the privilege of preaching her funeral, and I got to love them with her grandchildren, and the mom, and their son who was in jail, when they were coming to the funeral with his own mouth. He put him in the hands of the innkeeper and said, you take care of him. And whatsoever thou spendest more, when I return, I will repay you. Soul winning, bus ministry, Sunday school, door knocking, evangelism, outreach, and Bible studies. It's not about the right now. This is about longevity, long term, week in and week out, day in and day out. It's not easy come, easy go. If you swell a church through gimmicks and games and programs, anything that swells, it's infection. Has to die. But when you grow it steady, like a baby, it's carried in the mother's womb for 3 trimesters. It's delivered, it's nurtured, it's cared for, it's loved, and there are 3 stages of maturation. Total dependence, independence, and interdependence. Total dependence is the babies. Independence is the 18 on up. Interdependence is the 80s and the 90-year-olds. They're depending on someone that's reverting back to their childhood. This is the levels of maturation in the house of God. Sunday school is a full-time job. I want you to turn in your lessons today. Whatsoever thou spendest more, when I return, I will repay you. It was a long time. It was a long time sleep, Chronicles read to him about how my man Mordecai saved his life. It was perfect timing with God. Haman was building gallows to hang Mordecai. Haman is outside of Ahasuerus' palace where he couldn't sleep, and Ahasuerus said, "What will you do for the man you wanted to honor more than any other man?" Haman, ignorantly thinking it was him, he said, "I will put the king's crown on, the king's robe on his back, and ride on the king's horse." You go and do that to Mordecai. And Haman was hanging on the gallows of Mordecai. I'll never forget. It was a defining moment in our past 16 months. Sitting in the 19th Judicial District Court, the judge looked at me and said, "Why not just be a good neighbor like the other churches? Just close your church. Just be a good neighbor." Jesus summed up the parable of the Good Samaritan and said, "Which of these was his neighbor? Was it the priest and the Levite who closed the church? Was it the priest and the Levite who would not touch the man who had the virus, or the blood, or the bruise, or the sickness?" Jesus, in no uncertain terms, said, "The neighbor was the Good Samaritan." The Good Samaritan. He was the one that the priest and the Levite didn't like. And I had the opportunity to talk in that courtroom. It's on the court records in the district court of the parable of the Good Samaritan. Be it far from me, O judge, that I would have such little faith in what God created in my life, an immune system of love for others and compassion for others, that I would not run my bus on Sunday morning and pick up those 40 or 50 children who had not eaten since Friday at 12 o'clock at school, and will not eat again until Monday morning at breakfast in the public school system, where their only meal all day Sunday, where their only hug that they get in 7 days. Children need touch to develop properly. Where their only "I love you" that they hear in 7 days. Where the only smile that they get all week long. When you get to church, wear a smile, whether you got false teeth, pretty teeth, or no teeth at all. When you get out there and knock doors today, wear a smile. It takes more muscle to frown than it does to smile. A smile is a universal language. All right, we're moving on today because I'm through with the first part. Now I'm going to give you some information, nuts and bolts. All right, staff application on page 1. Everybody see the staff application? If you want to have a successful Sunday school, bus ministry, outreach, you have to fill out an application. Can you one? You have to fill out an application to get a loan. What makes you think you're going to come to the church and just stumble in here with your flip-flops, missing every 3 Sundays, can't find your Bible, hadn't prepared through prayer or study? What makes you think you're qualified to work in God's kingdom? When you work in God's kingdom, you have to be committed. Rain, snow, sleet, hail, sickness, or hell, poverty, or wealth, good times and bad times. I have an obligation. God did not suggest, He did not recommend, but He commanded getting hired on at the White House than you would on this staff application.
Come on.
Because when you sign that dotted line, you are committing yourself to ministering. The word means taking from one and giving to another. That's what ministry is. Taking what God has given to you and giving it away to others. So we commit. Some to 90 days, some to 180 days, some to a year. Some people have not missed a Sunday in 52 weeks. They're faithful to their bus. They're faithful to their Sunday school room. They're faithful to their breakfast. They're faithful to their traffic parking. They're faithful to their security. They're faithful, faithful, faithful. Well done, thou good and faithful. Well done, thou good and faithful. Not talented. I will choose faithfulness over talent any day. Ministry is done not by talented, not by the most educated, not by the most eloquent, not by the most excellent, but ministry is done by people that show up and are faithful. Listen, it doesn't matter to that person whether you're a Jehovah's Witness, whether you're a Baptist, whether you're a Catholic, whether you're a Pentecostal. They want to know, are you going to be a faithful friend to me? Are you going to tell me about Jesus? They don't care what your brand of religion is until they know what your religion has done for you. If your religion doesn't change you, what makes you think it's going to change them? If you're not thinking of them, why do they know what you have? This is important. We run a background check on everybody. We have felons who work for us. Some people can't work with certain age groups because of their rap sheet, because of their records. So we run a background check on everybody. Can't work with children if you're a pedophile. You say, well, God forgave him. Some things can be preserved. Some things can't be restored. We forgive the sin of pedophilia, molestation of children, but you're not going to work with our children. Everybody say amen. So, we have ex-cons who work with 4 to 7-year-olds that are not pedophiles, but whatever they work, they're allowed to work in those areas. So that's discretion that you have to use, and you have to be diligent with the people that God has sent to you. You have to protect them. You have to love people, care for them. Look at the 10 Commandments. First, let's go to verse 7. So I've got 30 more minutes in this session. Then we're going to open it up for question and answer. 10 Commandments of bus ministry. That's about page 3 in here, but over here. Number 1, encourage riders of all ages to come to Sunday school. Children need to begin riding bus routes on Sunday mornings at a young age, as young as possible. How early do you bring your children to church? What age? This is the answer of how young children should begin riding buses. Bus 7 of a lot of Sister Lacey had a lot of children. They've been on the bus now for over 5 years. Their children were in diapers, car seats, early on Sunday morning, about 7:30 every Sunday morning. Brother Jeremy Nicole, bus number 2, all of their children for the past 12 years have been on buses. They've grown up from diapers. Their oldest daughter, now Juliana, is now captaining bus 26, who was riding in car seats on bus 2 with her parents. Now is a bus captain. She's not even a teenager. The grandmother takes the door knocker on Saturday. They knock her out. She gets a phone and calls the people. It's serve snacks on their bus. They drop their people off in the areas. Bus ministry. We have, Sister Stella and I have more adults on our bus than we do children. Areas will depend on what kind of age and race of people you're going to get. Bus 3 is predominantly Latino route. Bus 12 is predominantly halfway houses, rehab houses, people down on their luck. Bus 6 is a lot of elderly people, handicapped people. When they're in our bus, you'll see today has one leg. It's about 3 minutes to pick her up out of the chair and put her on the bus. More adults on our bus than there are children. Sunday school is not just about children.
Right.
Nowhere in the Bible it says thou shalt own a car. A lot of people don't have vehicles. I gave a car away to a lady one day, sat in her driveway for 2 years. She said, I've never driven before. I don't want to drive. Took the car back and gave it to somebody else. So the bus ministry is essential, especially in 2021. You're looking at 4th and 5th generational government subsidized people with their own vehicles. And the bus ministry is essential to getting into the house of God. There's no public transit system in this city. It doesn't come out here. So, number 2, assign jobs and duties to children. Children need ministry responsibilities at a young age, as young as possible. Ministry begins when a child is old enough to communicate. Most children that have behavioral problems in school, and in most cases, they're very intelligent, their minds moving 100 miles an hour. They're not being given enough material to stay busy, so they begin to wander and get into trouble. This is the way it is on the bus. Children that are hyperactive and attention deficit disorder and disruptive, when you give them a job and a duty and a responsibility, it gives them a purpose, and then they become your worst child and become your best child. They turn from the worst problem to the best solution to problems. It's number 2 of bus ministry. Number 3, be good role models. We need more good role models in America. Men and women that's going to be faithful, on time, worshipers, stewards, good stewards. This is not going to happen in the first generation. It's got to happen in every area of the church. We need good role models in our church. Let me ask you something today. Are you a role model or a model playing a role? Some people are hypocrites. The word means an actor playing a part. Don't be a hypocrite. Walk the walk and talk the talk. Be bona fide. Be real. Be pure. Be holy. Be transparent. Be kind. So, be a good role model. The NBA doesn't have good role models. NFL doesn't have good role models. Hollywood doesn't have good role models. The church is the last place on earth where men can look to say, so that's what the kingdom of God is supposed to look like on earth. Number 4, be prepared to fight. Everybody say war. When you get out in the streets today, we're in a war. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, but the devil has a spirit in every city. When you go to Salt Lake City, it has a spirit there. When you go to Los Angeles, it has a spirit there. When you go to New Orleans, it has a spirit there. When you go to Baton Rouge, it has a spirit. You have to find out what that spirit is in that neighborhood, and you have to conquer that spirit for Jesus Christ. And the devil does not give up territory without a fight. He's not going to let you into that person's home without a fight. He's going to fight you. So the first thing you need to know, commandment number 5 in the bus ministry is that we are in a war. The devil is playing for keeps. The devil doesn't want you to win souls. The devil doesn't want you to run your bus. That's why your bus isn't going to start today. It's going to break down. We're in a war. That's why every Sunday morning at 6:30, a brand new bus will break down. And won't start. You're going to get grease under your nails. And You're going to have skin up knuckles, and your suit's going to get messed up. Listen, if you got a suit that's so pretty that you can't pick somebody up and bring somebody to church, you need to get another suit. If your shoes are so shiny that you can't walk through the line and pick somebody up and put on your rush, your shoes are too shiny. We need a baptism of meekness and apostolicism, of humility and love and compassion. We're in a war. The devil will strategically place people on your bus to try and disrupt your bus. Everybody's not getting on there to come to church and get saved. Judas was a devil for 3.5 years, and Jesus knew it. Everybody that goes to church is not there for the right reason. Some people want to cause trouble. Some people are devils. Some people are disruptive, busybodies, etc. So, when you're in a war, I can see it on a naval ship when cannonballs are coming across the ship and airplanes are shooting, 50 calibers, and somebody's out there robbing the deck or swabbing the deck, or somebody's out there sipping on a cup of coffee. When it's wartime, it's all hands on deck. Man your battle stations. Sunday morning is not time to mop the floor. Sunday morning is time to vacuum the carpet. That's a busy work that deceives us into thinking we're doing something for the kingdom of God, when all we're doing is just staying busy. Sunday morning is time to pray for people, witness to people, love people, take people to church, baptize people. You all are doing stuff on your own time, but on God's time. You ever see people on the job and just stay busy people? And they're looking at you out of the corner of their eye, waiting until you get all the hard stuff done, and they'll come up and be like a sponge and suck up all the gravy work. Some of y'all might be like that. We're in a war, church. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, they are mighty through God. While on this, we don't fight carnality with carnality. Because if you do, who's going to win? Carnality. We fight carnality with spirituality, because spirituality cannot lose to carnality. The weapons in our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty. That means carnal weapons are mighty. But prayer, worship, love, hugging people's necks, shaking people's hands, showing them that you love them and care about them, that's what wins today. Love wins. Number 6. No compromise. We're going to have a total annihilation of Satan's kingdom when we go out in the field today. We've got our war clothes on. We're suited up for battle. Our mind is set. I'm going out here today. I'm going to win a soul. I'm going to win a soul. I might knock on 100 doors. Some of them get slammed in my face. 90% of them, the smell of marijuana hits you in the face. Children are stoned at 5 years old. Their pupils are dilated. There's profanity. There's ugliness. There's brutality. So when you get there, have your A game on. Have your best smile. Be clean. Look like you got your act together. And when you get to that door, when you put that in their hand, I'm Pastor Spell. The bus is coming through here long on at 8:45. And while they're looking at this card, they're reading in the light. Be here at 8:45. Here's what we'll do. We'll pick the children up. We'll go to church. Everybody eats a hot breakfast. Girls over here, boys over here. Parents, you come in here for worship and preaching. I'll make a deal with you. You go one time, you won't ever stop coming to this church. I promise you. You got a lot of faith in the church. You do. I promise you. You come with me one time. Let your children go with us one time. I promise you, they will beg you to go back every Sunday. Is your church that kind of church? Is the atmosphere that you're cultivating that kind of atmosphere? Are children begging to come to your church? As you'll see tomorrow when you ride the bus home with us, every child on the bus is in my ear. Can you drop me off class? Can you drop me off class? I want to go home. It's the best day ever. I want to go home. Can you drop me off class? I dropped you off class last week. Third times. When people feel your spirit, that you care about them, love them, people want to know if you're real. People want to know if you care about them. There's three kinds of cards. There's a glossy one. This is the Spanish card. People don't speak English. 8-mile radius of our church, they tell me we have the second largest Honduran population in the world, second only to the mainland of Honduras. Isn't that something? Sister Yassin, our translator, is Honduran. She picks up in the Gardner Lane area. If you want to go on a great bus route, you don't mess with Gardner Lane is thousands and thousands and thousands of duplexes, apartment complexes, apartment complexes. You can drop 1,000 cars in an area and not even scratch the surface of 3 or 4 streets. Most of the Latino don't speak any English whatsoever. When you go in that area, it's good to have Spanish-speaking people in that area. I'm not very productive in that area because I need a translator, and that's not very effective. All right, while I'm on this, moving quickly, what is the effective? Now, I'm just skipping around because you've got 10 commandments to outreach, bus ministry, Sunday school. But when I get to that door, number one, I'm either with myself and my wife, 2 people only at the door, 2 people only. 2 people only at the door. Don't hang up on people with 10 people. Man, they open up that door at 12 o'clock and they got 15 apostolics. We're weird enough already. And then they got 15 weirdos standing at their door. And they coming off of a drum. So it's always a husband and wife team, a man and woman. Never 2 men, but 2 women. 2 men is aggressive to a lady at the door or children at the door. It's not effective. So it's either a husband and wife team, 2 women team, or I'll go with a young person, one of my children. Or several small children will go with you to the door. That's appealing to the door. People, when you're trying to win children, take other children with you in the neighborhood. Because the seed is in the seed. You're going to help you win souls. That's an important part I want to give you. All right. Let's keep going. Bus ministry. Bus ministry, bus ministry. Be proactive, number 7. Not reactive. Anticipate problems before they ever arise. Never react to anything. Because when you react to a problem, then the problem is in control. But be proactive enough to eliminate the problem before it ever occurs. Be proactive enough. Proactive meaning if you notice that there's a child that's unruly and needs special attention, put it to the front and give them extra attention. If not, it's going to escalate to a fight. People are going to get suspended. People are going to get hurt. And people aren't going to ride on your bus. They're just trying to save the bus. All right? All right. Run your bus even if nobody rides. We average 645 in the year 2020 on our buses. 645 on our buses, across 30-something buses. And you know there were some Sundays when the news was dragging us in the mud. We were number one on Google for 30 days, searching defiant pastor, cult leader, money hustling, killer, super spreader, all that. We're a super spreader, not a virus. We're a super spreader of faith. Super spreader of Jesus. So, when we did that, Governor John Roberts got on CNN, Jake Tapper, and said, we're going to close Pastor Scale that. We're going to stop. Mayor Weston and other political officials called us by name. Local television, local news, found they were shut us down. So it put fear in the hearts of people. People would not even come to the door. You ride your bus, nobody comes to the door. Can I tell you that every bus, I'm so thankful for my bus captains and riders. Every bus, every Sunday, strokes their entire route, knowing that people weren't going to come. Knowing that people would not answer the phone. Why? Because I'm not going to let the devil take anything from me that I have control over. You may have put fear in them, but their fear doesn't determine what I do. I pray for people for a healing, they will get healed. I'm not going to stop praying for a healing. If I pray for 100 people and only one of the 100 got their miracle, that means I got to pray for 99 more to get one more miracle. You got to keep praying. You got to keep praying. You got to keep riding your bus. You got to keep driving. When nobody comes to church, ride your bus. When nobody answers their phone, keep calling and riding to church. Number 9. You assume the role as a bus shepherd. My bus is my fold. I am a shepherd. I am responsible for every square inch and every split second of my bus. I'm a shepherd. The riders on my bus are my sheep. I protect them. I love them. I feed them. I clothe them. I know what their birthdays are. I know the problems in their home. I give them dollars for A's on their report cards. I don't give out any dollars. Number 10, honor your bus route. It is to be highly esteemed. Don't take the job lightly. Working for God's kingdom is the most crucial task at hand. So, nuts and bolts. If I was going to go home tomorrow and start a bus ministry, number 1, I need a bus. That's number 1. Public school systems cannot run a bus more than 13 years old. That's where we come in. I never pay more than $4,600 for a bus. That bus has 3 air conditioners in it. That bus has good tires on it. Bus is a diesel bus. Usually right now they're like 2007s because they're starting to cycle out. A lot of my buses from Wichita Falls, Texas. I have one bus supplier that I buy from. He buys them from the school systems. I buy from him. If you want a bus, ask me, I can get you a bus tomorrow. I can get you 3 buses tomorrow. It's not a question of getting buses. Number 1, you gotta have a bus. Number 2, you gotta have people to pick up. That's where the soul winner comes in. So you find an area in your city. You can't be a country club. You can't be Beverly Hills. He that is whole hath no need of a physician. Jesus took the time out for the people nobody else had time for. So I'm going to find the worst place in my city, and I'm going to go there, and I'm determined that when I leave here, it's going to be the best people coming out of this neighborhood that the world has ever seen. Under the sound of my voice this morning, under the sound of my voice this morning, state convicts who are now bus captains. Juvenile delinquents who spent time in juvenile detention centers who are now bus captains. Used to be homosexuals. Used to be drunkards, drug addicts, dope pushers, $1,000 a day crack cocaine addicts. But when Jesus gets to that person, you spend a long time in jail. I'm glad somebody loved you enough to let you sit on the front row. You spend a long time in jail. I'm glad somebody loves you enough. So, ride a bus, go knock doors in the area. It's simple. Door knocking works. We built the bus ministry, 7 Sunday school areas, 80,000 square feet, the fastest growing church in America. 900 baptisms in the past 16 months. We did that all door knocking. Door knocking. I'll knock doors in Scotlandville today, and I may not get any new people for my bus. But God will supernaturally bring somebody from 40 miles in the opposite direction whose door never got knocked on. Because it's your obedience to the Word of God that trumps your faith in the Word of God. And if you'll just obey, knock, and it shall be open. Seek, ask, and you shall find. Seek, and you shall find. Ask, and it shall be given. Because upon this rock, Jesus said, I will build my church. Jesus is the one building the church. I'm just the tool in which he is using. I'm just the glove in which he has placed his hand. Jesus is building the church. This is not my church. If it's mine, then the devil can tear it up. And if the devil tears it up, it ain't God's church. The devil couldn't tear up this church because this is God's church. The government couldn't shut this church down because it's not a government church. The Bible couldn't shut this church down because this church is not subjected to the virus, but this is God's church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. But he needs somebody to put legs on the tools that he's going to use to build the church. That's why you got to knock on doors. That's why you got to teach a whole Bible study. That's why you got to run life. Amen. All right. So I'm 4 minutes over. The rest of the time is Q&A, and I'm going to speak extemporaneously from whatever subject you bring to the Sunday school, home Bible studies, door knocking, first sip of the coffee of the day. Question, the only bad one is the one you're going to ask. You're sincere, you wouldn't be here. So let's talk about buses, soul winning, Sunday school. Who's first? California. Sister Melanie. Sister Melanie, go. Come up here, Sister Melanie. Question. Indianapolis, Indiana. Go ahead.
Praise the Lord, everybody. My question to you is, as you tell, how do you, I'm serving you, and how do you get your children to thrive without parents? Because, not all of them are in the right mindset.
All right.
The liability involved.
All right, so let's talk about it. So how are we getting children to ride a bus without their parents? Number one, this is the first answer would be most parents want a break from their children. Number two, the key to the parents is the children. This is the tail wagging the dog generation. So, most parents want a break from the children on Sunday. So when I pick up on that, the discernment, that mom or that dad, that grandmother, she's holding the baby in diapers and they got 4 kids jumping off the walls and kicking holes in the television. This one needs a break. And I'll say, listen, tomorrow morning I'll be here at 8:45. Let me take your children to church tomorrow morning. Oh, preacher, glad. You can keep them all day. In fact, don't bring them back. That's best case scenario. Next case is children in the areas where we're going. Those children are out on the streets. Those children some children will get on my bus, their parents will never know they're gone. They get in at 3 a.m. Saturday morning. Their shoes are on the wrong feet when they come running out of the house. Sometimes they're sitting on the door stoop. And when they come running, they get on the bus, they're back home at 12:30. Nobody ever missed them. Nobody ever missed them. That's what we're dealing with today. An uncaring, insensitive society. Nobody ever missed them. So, how do I get parents or children to ride? Then, the ideal situation is we have a parental consent. The parents at the door, listen, we want to bring your children to church tomorrow morning. The largest Sunday school in the South, they go to this one time and never stop going. What's your phone number? We'll call you before we get here. It's the phone number, your address. They have any allergies? No allergies. Any medical concerns? We need to know about the medical concerns. The more information we get from them, the more obligated they become to putting their children on our bus. Sister Spell, where are you? Sister Spell? Let's see. So, sometimes she thinks like a woman, so she can answer a question for a woman better than I can. Because I'm just telling you what I do. And I'm not as good as a teacher as I am a doer. I'm not as good as a teacher as I am a doer. So if you can just watch me and follow me, you'll see how to do it. But she'll answer that question. Getting children on the bus, parents.
We have registration cards that we carry with us on outreach. And when we do have a cooperative parents, then we get the child's name, phone number, and allergy information. And we file that in the system. We use a really good Fellowship One system. Every child is entered into the database, and we have all of their information plus their picture. And our staff had an app on their phone and take the picture, register the child. That would make someone comes to pick them up that is not authorized to do so. During Sunday school, we can say no, you can't have the child or whatever. So anything important we add to the notes on that child. That is an ideal situation that hardly ever happens. Honestly, the children that we pick up, like you said, usually come around and get on the bus and we just go. If the parent calls us, we'll tell them we'll be back at 12:30. They're at the church, they're fine, they're fed, and they're learning about Jesus, and the parents are happy that we took them. We've never had an irate parent call us, and that's very sad to say. But if your community is different, then I suggest getting a registration card. You have one in your packet that you can copy. You can make one similar to that. And that would save you a lot of frustration and keeping up with records to get a good database also. Ours is in the cloud, so it's easy to download. I'm not sure the amount of children we have in it. Sister Emily, do you have a number? In the upper 40,000 number.
40,000 Sunday school buses. All right, so there again, you're protected of your children. You're the nuclear family. Where we're going, it's not that case. So we don't have a hard time getting the children in the bus. We don't have a hard time. And those parents, grandparents, guardians are grateful that we're there to help those children teach them about Jesus. So that's an excellent question. And then, of course, if you have concerns and apprehensions about your children coming, you get on the bus with them tomorrow. See what we're doing. You're welcome to ride with them. Maybe they'll ride one time to see that this is a safe place, it's a good place. So, all right. So you get your bus, you knock your door, you go win souls. All right? 2 by 2. That's how Jesus sent them out. Next question. Next question. Come on, sister. Where are you from? Iowa. Lord have mercy. All right. Go ahead.
How do you change the paradigm thinking of
Number one, the cost. Money has never been an issue. Money has never been an issue. We spend our money on what we want to spend it on. If you're driving a $90,000 Lexus, but you can't afford a bus, you need to repent. Now y'all see why I stay home so much, because people don't invite me to preach anymore. If you got 2 Cadillacs, an asphalt, and a deer lease, but you can't spare $4,500 to buy a bus to bring snotty-nosed kids to church that's going to stuff up your wall, you got to go read the Bible again. So that's number one. But how do we change that paradigm? How do we change that paradigm? Rise above. Be the change that you want. So, fill up your car, fill up your van, fill up. That's your bus ministry. And start your own bus ministry. Don't wait. Don't wait for everybody to get on board to do God's work, because you're never going to do it. That's why we are leaders. We're not followers. Soul winners are leaders. We don't wait for everybody to get on board to do something. We just do it. And either lead, what's our motto of our shirts? Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Make it happen. So there has to be a paradigm shift. And somebody's been told that door knocking won't work. And they like that because they're lazy. You got 3 hours a week to go to the health club, but you can't go walk 5 miles on Saturday and knock on doors. Take out your leadership to the health club and go walk on the streets and knock doors. You spend $150 a month at Spectrum Fitness, and you drive around Walmart 30 minutes every time you get there looking for a front row parking spot. Rip up the $150 membership and park at the back of the parking lot and walk in. You won't need a health club. So, how do we change that paradigm? Be the change that you want. Be the change that you want. You don't ask permission to do God's will. The Bible suggests, it commands. Number one, the first commandment, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish. And it's not good for you to be alone. The first time, God said 7 times, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. The first time he said it's not good, it's for us to be alone. I need somebody with me when I go to church. I need somebody with me on the pew. I need somebody that I can minister to, reach out to, preach to, pour myself into. And we got to get rid of the us going to war, us 6 and the same tricks, us 7, we're on our way to heaven. Us 8, everything's great. Us 9, everything's fine. Us 10, and I'll see you next Sunday morning again. We got to get out of that mentality. We got to break that. Revival is a wildfire that you can't contain. This is organized chaos. Things get chaotic around here on Sunday morning. Things get chaotic around here on Sunday morning. I got some of you going to stand in awe tomorrow morning. Your first 30 minutes is just to stand in awe. That's your rule when it comes out. Don't burn the pews. When you get past that, join the rest of us. Chaotic people. It's organized chaos. The disciples wanted to shoot the children away because they were sitting on Jesus' lap and they were instructed. Jesus said, what are you talking about? They're why I came here. This is the kingdom of heaven. It's not always pretty. It's not always fun. It's not always easy. It's never ideal. Well, what you want to get into? It's winning souls. When you sign on to be a bus captain, a soul winner, and a Sunday school teacher, you just sign on to be stepped on, spit on, unappreciated. Humiliated, heartbroken. You get time, walk outside my office today in Sunday school and look at On the 8th day, God made us together. You're volunteering. You give out Christmas gifts on Christmas, and Noah and I have taken our time to wrap up gifts, and we named each child on the bus. We wrapped them pretty and thought what they liked. We get to one individual's door, he throws it back at us and says, I don't want this, so we'll do something else. If you don't realize what you're doing, you're going to quit right there. People can be ungrateful, they can be caustic, they can be unkind, they can be ugly. But you got to be strong as acid, tough as nails, cold as ice. But at the same time, you have to have a heart of wax that God can melt and mold and realize it's never between you and him anyway. People often, Mother Teresa said, unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered, forgive them anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you find success, you'll win some false friends and true enemies succeed anyway. What you spend years building, someone else can destroy overnight. Build anyway. You see, in the final analysis, whether it was ever between you and him, it was always between you and him anyway. It's about being obedient to God and pleasing to God. And people can be unkind to you, harsh to you, and mean to you. That's the spirit that is in them that is being manifested. That's why you're there, to help them and change them. So there has to be a paradigm shift in the thinking of leadership, but until it does, maybe God put you in that church to be the key to the revival of that church. And if nobody else in this church gets involved, I'm going to start a bus ministry, I'm going to create a Sunday school. Nobody else. Nobody else can do it. You just got to do it. But then, it is disheartening that we have misplaced priorities. Misplaced priorities is Solomon spent 7.5 years building the house of God, but he spent 14 years building his personal home. Yes, the house of God was beautiful and magnificent, but look at, he spent twice as much time on his own house. Misplaced priorities. But that's a good question. So I would say, as you begin to do it, you win your own Sunday school, you win your own bus cabins. You win them, and then you create that and change the church from within inside the church. So that's a great question. And every one of us have to face that. We have to face people because we all hate change. Nobody likes change. Okay? Change that comes incrementally can be handled. This is why most people who have a cardiac arrest, it happens between 8 and 9 a.m. in the morning. Because you go from laying flat on your back to ingesting tons of caffeine and coffee and rushing through rush hour traffic, and you're fighting with coworkers and bosses, and your body's not made for that abrupt change. So they all, most of them occur between the early hours of the morning. But incremental change. If you try to go from 1,000 feet on the ocean floor to the surface, you get the bends, the pressure, the tribulation explodes you from the inside out. So you have to stop incrementally and go through a decompression chamber. Go slowly so that your lungs and your blood vessels can adapt. And that's the way it is in the church. You don't just birth 10 children at one time. You get married, then you learn one another. Then you have a child, then you learn that child. Then you have a second child, and it comes incrementally, and you can handle it. And that's the way it is in a bus ministry or a Sunday school and change in the church. It comes incrementally. You don't get 33 buses overnight and average 646 horses, drivers overnight. No church can handle that. But we started renting buses for $200 a week with a driver for the first student. Then we rented 2 buses. Then 2 buses were given to us. And 12 years later, we had 33 buses. And we went from 15 in the Sunday school to 11 or 1,200 in the Sunday school in the Sunday. Incrementally, that's how it comes. Incremental change. That's a great question. You be the change you want to be. I'm going to light this little corner that I'm in. Next question. Nuts and bolts questions. Sister right here, stand up. Go ahead. So, it's hard to outreach. What is it? Oh, yes. And that's what she was asking too on the tail end of the question. You have daily communities. At one point, I talked to the landlord on a weekday, and I get the code of the gate on Sunday morning, so I can hear the gate. I get one soul in there, and then I got the key to that community. Because they're the ones that's letting me into that community. That's what the Trojan horse was. Once they got inside of that great wall fortress of the city, they destroyed the city from the inside out. So you got to find the key to the city. So every city has that part of the city where people need God. Every city has that. We just got to find them. If you're going to catch fish, you don't go fishing in the swimming pool. All you're doing is getting good lure representation and practicing fishing, casting. If you're going to fish, you got to go to the fish arm. You can smell the fish. The water's not always clean. Sometimes the waters are rough. Sometimes they're deep. Sometimes you get stuck in the waters. There's critters out there, gators and snakes. Used to be gators, but not anymore. And then you got to go there. You got to find those people in your city. You got to find those people in your city. David said, is there anybody left in the house of Saul? Ziba steps up and said, yeah, there's one more. He's Jonathan's son, Saul's grandson. You don't want him. No, he's a cripple. High maintenance. And he lives in Lodebar. If you go to the edge of nowhere, in the worst place in the city, and keep going, you come to Lodebar. And David said, we're not going to sit down until you go get him. And Ziba is the servant sent by the king. Number one, Mephibosheth was sought by a king. David was looking for the cripple. David was looking for somebody to be good to. God is looking for the cripples. God's looking for somebody to be good to. And there's a servant named Ziba, that's you. And you say, I know one, but they're way down there. Go get him. Mephibosheth was sought by a king. And when Ziba's coming through the city, in the king's chariot, everybody's looking around and saying, what's the king's chariot doing here? What's that bus doing on our street? What's the apostolics doing in our street? What are they doing? The Jehovah's Witnesses already tried this, and nothing works in here. The Catholics already tried it, it doesn't work in here. The Charismatics tried it, it doesn't work in here. Yeah, but you haven't been sent by the king like you've been sent by the king. What's the king's chariot doing here? He gets down there, he knocks on the door, and Mephibosheth says, who is it? It's the king's servant. You must be at the wrong door. King's servants don't come to my door. I'm a cripple. I'm a has-been. Nobody wants to do anything with me. And he says, I'm at the right place. The king is looking for you. And Ziba picks him up. He's a cripple. He puts him in the chariot. Mephibosheth says, I've never ridden on a chariot like this. He gets to the palace. I've never been to a church like this. Man, they treat me like I'm somebody here. They put my legs under the table here. Nobody knows how to cripple here. Nobody cares that I'm playing here. Nobody cares that I'm nasty here. Sought by a king, carried by a servant. a lady here with a performer wedding ceremony bar. If you go on the Zachary route, Sister Henry and Sister Caitlin, you'll be there. She's on a trip. I had a vision. All I saw was the street name. I drove around until I found that street name for a long time. Parked my car. The first door I came to, 3 little children come running the door and said, "Pastor, we've been missing you." They had moved and we had missed them for a year and found them. I said, "God, thank you for giving me this dream. You brought me." That was so good. But that was my real reason. When I was getting back in my car, this lady across the street without reservation said, "Are you the man that's going to baptize me?" I said, "I thought God brought me here to catch those 3 that I lost. God brought me here for her." If we listen to God, He will lead the steps of a good man and ordered by the Lord, and He delighteth in His way. God wants to take delight in people that are going to listen and be led by Him. God's going to lead you to that person. God's going to bring you to that person, that individual. So there's a question. Back here in the back, we had a question. Yeah. In other words, a food allergy, and we take it to their back, we put their bus numbers on their hands, we have people that don't know what buses they ride, so we write their bus numbers on their hand, their food allergies, and parents tell us. And sometimes they'll send food with them if they can eat. Sometimes children are diabetics, they don't take their insulin. Sometimes children, they go off of their AYC medicine between Friday and Monday. So we take their medicine and administer their medicine to them so that they can be docile and controllable that Sunday. So that's very important that you know as much as you can information about the people on the bus. It's very important. Okay, next question. Brother, come on, Virginia.
I'll pass it from the time you order a bus. How
Yeah.
long does it take the process? From the time you pay, you get the bus,
Oh, I can get it tomorrow.
train, and then get on the road.
Okay, so we train people. In other words, a CDL process can be a day's process. There's 3 parts. We pay for everybody's license in our church. We train them how to drive a bus. We train them on the pre-trip inspection of the bus. We train them on the skills test of the bus. We pay for their license. And they have to sign a 6-month contract that they're going to drive for us for 6 months every Sunday. So theoretically, in a week, you could do this. You could take $5,000 to buy a bus, get it in your city, get CDL license, start running that bus through your city, and in 2 weeks, you can have a first-class bus route. State-of-the-art Sunday school. And theoretically, that can happen. When you set your mind to it, you can do that. So you have to first get your CDL physical. It's called a DOT physical. Then you have to take that. You can get that anywhere for about $70 and walk in there. You have to take that to the Office Motor Vehicles. Tell them you want to take your Class B as in boy, commercial driver's license test. They're going to give you a passenger test, air brake test, school bus test, general knowledge test. You take those, about 120 or 30 questions on the computer. They're going to give you a 6-month learner's permit. You take that 6-month learner's permit and you schedule with a third-party tester, like a school bus company, Anheuser-Busch. They train people to do CDL tests, Coastal Diesel Driving Academy, and you got to have a bus to take the pre-trip. So you got to have a bus in order to do that. Then they license you, and you are legal to drive a bus now. And you're a commercial driver. You can drive anything with wheels on except for hazardous material. So theoretically, I would say 2 weeks maximum if you meant business. Take the cash, buy a bus, get fuel, get your license, and make that happen. Once you start driving a bus, you won't ever stop. The most important part of my day on Sunday is not when I'm standing in that pulpit. It's all important. But the highlight of my day is getting behind the wheel of that bus. And I trick people. We're going to get on Pastor's bus. We're going to take that shoulder off, that load off his shoulders. Then I train them and they take the bus route and I go start another bus route. I've done that probably 20 times. Listen, why are you going to take my burden from me? Why are you going to take my joy from me? I have no greater joy than to know that my children walk in truth. There's no greater joy, exhilaration, excitement on earth than watching somebody whose door you knocked on get to an altar and a preacher find them, pray through the Holy Ghost, get them in the water, teach them a whole Bible study, and then they start a bus route. Then they knock on doors. Then they pray people through and baptize them. Then they teach all night. There's nothing more fulfilling than that. That is the most fulfilling part of my life. John Diligence was a terrible gangster from Indiana. He said, I know I'm going to hell, but I'm going to take as many people as I can with me. I feel that way about the church. I know I'm going to heaven, but I'm going to take as many people from the pits of hell to heaven with me as I can. I'm going to get it. If you're going to build a church, build the best church in your city. If you're going to win souls, be the best soul winner in your city. If you're going to be a Sunday school teacher, be the best Sunday school teacher that ever lived. Be passionate, be sincere, be radical. So, you knock the door, you put him on the bus. What are you going to do like the dog that catches the car? He chases him. What are you going to do when you catch him? When you get him on the bus, you can't put live chicks under a dead hen. They won't hatch. When you get them to church, there has to be a thriving Sunday school department. Somebody checking them in. Somebody serving them breakfast and juice. Somebody keeping order. Somebody playing games and object lessons. Somebody teaching them and singing with them and loving on them, making that the best 2 hours of their week, ensuring that they're going to come back week after week after week. And it doesn't stop there. Follow-up visitation. I touch every bus rider every week. Not just on Sunday morning, but prior to Sunday morning. And I get new people every week. Discipling people, teaching people, discussing scriptures with people, praying for people. Okay? Sister Mo. Oh, yeah? My bus is so exciting and crucial to my people that this family was evicted off of my bus route on the bus 11's bus route due to Sister Mo's. They would get a ride from her bus route to get dropped off back on my bus route so they could ride that bus on Sunday morning. It's quicker than them to come to church from where they are. But they said, we got to get on our bus. We are responsible for our bus. We're getting back on there with our pastor. Isn't that beautiful? No offense, but they don't want to ride with us. They want to ride my bus. They start out on your bus, but sometimes I can be a thief. I steal good people. If you want to start a war, crisscross somebody's bus route in this church. Man, you're going to be as messed up as Joe Biden without a teleprompter. Don't crisscross somebody's bus route. All right. Y'all know I had to hit the politicians today. So that's important. You'll know how good your Sunday school is by if people want to leave or not. You know how long it takes to get 1,200 people on these 40 acres? 45 minutes. 45 minutes. You'll see tomorrow morning. There's a traffic jam, there's a gym jammer. We got more traffic to Los Angeles, California this morning. Because people, bus 5, you got to call them, they're still playing ball. They're still playing the altars. Girls elevator, boys elevator. They're baptizing. People are praying at the altar. They can't get on the bus, so you got to keep circling and circling and circling. All right. Sister, go. Maintain and fuel the buses. So we have a 1,000-gallon fuel tank. It costs us, right now, it costs us $1,500 a week to fuel our bus fleet. We have a 1,000-gallon fuel tank, so after we drop our children off, we come back through the ballpark, we have a fuel attendant, he fuels the bus, he DEFs the bus, and we go park it there on Sunday, never be driven again until Saturday, not reached on Sunday. We have $1.5 million in buses, and we use them for 4 hours a week. Where are your priorities? Where's your passions? Fuel, checking oil, checking fluids. We maintain our own buses. Brother Chris New is the bus director. Sister Paul is the bus coordinator. Brother Chris New gets out here at 6:30 on Sunday morning. Sometimes he's working nights. He comes from work in his jumpsuit. He starts every bus, ensures every bus cranks, puts the key in every ignition, makes sure every bus is ready to roll. Checking fluids, adding fluids, making sure everything's right. Then when the bus captain gets here, they repeat that step. Every bus has a driver. It's his only job to drive, or her only job. You have no women and men drivers. You have a captain. Their only job is the captain. Calling people, waking people up, telling them what time they'll be there. Telling the driver where to turn and where to go. The helpers, 2 helpers on every bus, their job is to maintain order, take roll, give breakfast, give snacks, have fun, engage people. Or 320 people to run the buses. Just to run the buses. You've got more than that in the Sunday school area is waiting on the buses to get here. It's a church-wide ministry. Everybody is involved in the Sunday school. It can't be us against them. It can't be, the bus people and us people. Can you do that? It has to be integrated. The public school system is desegregated. Sports is desegregated. Politics are desegregated. The last institution on earth that's still segregated is the church. We have to get over that.
That's right.
We don't need a Latino church any more than we need a black church, any more than we need a white church, any more than we need a rich or poor church. We need God's church. God's church represents the city. If the city has one nationality, then we're only going to have one nationality in the church. But if your city has 25 nationalities, you need 25 nationalities in the church. Right? So it's a reflection. The church is a reflection of the city. The church is a reflection of heaven. That's so important. No big eyes in the news here. No those kids and my kids. We don't use those terms here. Those kids are using bad words. Your kids is on your I-12 at night when you're sleeping, looking at worse things than they're saying. If what your children has is not strong enough to keep out the influence of the people that will bring in, then they need another injection of the Holy Ghost. Greater is He that is in your children than he that is in the world. The world is not authorized to change us. We're authorized to change the world. only business the church has in the world is going out into the world and bringing the world into the church so we can go back into the world and bring the world into the church and change them. The only business the church has in this world is going out into the world and bringing it into the church. That is our mission. Our purpose is to magnify the glory, honor, and power of God. Our mission is to win souls. Win souls. The church is essential because we are soul winners. Our people cannot live without our church. They cannot make it without our church. You know how many funerals I preached last year for COVID? Not many. You know how many funerals I preached for teenage suicides because their parents wouldn't let them come to church? When they lose their hope, then comes domestic violence. When the church is no longer in their life, hopelessness, helplessness, drug addiction, suicide, murder. The church is the key to the city. All right, next question, go. Brother, go. Yes. Yes. So, home Bible studies. The home Bible study is a huge ministry. 7 days a week in our church, home Bible studies are being taught. The most effective home Bible study. So once somebody gets baptized, that's not the end, that's the means to the end. The key is getting in that person's home and teaching them a home Bible study. The whole Search for Truth for 12 weeks. I've been teaching one Bible class for 7 years. There's no more 12-week, 12-step program Bible studies. I'm in there until they're like me, doing what I'm doing to other people teaching. Until I'm ready to do that, I'm not going to lead them. So, how do I do it? We have a home Bible study coordinator. When people get out of the baptistry, they connect with that person. We're going to be in their home. The blue card. Everybody fills out a blue card when they come to church. On Saturday, we have follow-up visitation. Follow-up visitors go to this blue card address. They have a gift bag. They're on that person's doorstep. Said, we saw you in church last Sunday morning. We come to tell you, we want to see you back again tomorrow. We want to teach you a home Bible study. We want to fellowship with you. Before we see them on Saturday, we drop a letter in the mail to that address on Monday, signed by myself, saying we're glad you have options. You chose to worship with us. We thank you for coming to our church. We drop a dozen or so letters in the mail every Monday morning. They get it by Wednesday. By Wednesday, they know somebody's going to come see it before Sunday. That's important. So I'm glad you're asking questions because I'm talking about this stuff that I would have forgotten to tell you. First-time visitors need to know that they're important to you. If 7 people in the church do not connect with a first-time visitor, they'll never be back again. 7 people need to meet them, greet them, hug them, shake their hand, get to know them, talk to them. Not invasive, not being nosy, not invading their privacy, but just letting people know you care about them. And we're glad you're here. That's important. So they get a letter on Monday, they get it Wednesday, somebody's on their door Saturday, and that's how we set up home Bible studies. Man made it here this morning, I don't know. Came to church on a Tuesday night after church and said, I'd like to know more about the church. I said, you need a home Bible study. He said, what is that? I said, it's where I sit down with the Bible and the chart and I talk to you about the Word of God. I said, when would you like to start? He said, how about tomorrow? That was on a Wednesday night 7 years ago. And every Wednesday night for 7 years. It went from him and 2 sons to 3 sons to 8 children to marry his wife. So now we average 90 to 100 in that Bible class every week. And I sit down with my Bible. What's your name? Sister Sue. She's an online member, but way far off. She talks to me on Sunday. But when I sit down and I open my Bible and I turn to it, and we start with prayer and question and answers, sometimes 30 minutes, no more than 59 minutes. And she has questions for me, and I answer her questions from the Word of God. I may only get one shot at that person. It doesn't make you a compromiser because you don't read them the right act the first time that you're in there. I've sat down with people in the first Bible study and they said, you know what, that talking in tongues, that stuff's weird, I'm never going to do that. I said, we'll get to that. And a year later, I get to it. I've already been baptized, they said, in Titus, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I don't need to be rebaptized. I said, we'll get to that. I'm not going to crush them over the head with 105 scriptures the first time I went home. He that winneth souls is. We can win arguments and lose the soul. I don't care about winning arguments. I will lose an argument to win a soul. I'll lose in a battle to win a war. I go to church and I don't have a church clothes that come just like you are. You sure? It comes like you are. When you come like you are, and after a while, somebody starts giving you clothes, and you start wanting to fit in. People want to fit in. They want to look like us, and talk like us, and act like us. You don't have to browbeat people. You don't have to be mean to people. There's a church in the city that won't let people smoke on the grounds. I'm the only apostolic church in the city that has a smoke bin on the front lawn. When you pull up tomorrow morning, it's almost like a freight train on the oak tree. It's not an overcast day. People smoking. People are not smoking at church. They ought to have more respect. I don't care what you got to do to get here, just get here. I don't care who you are, just get here. The good Samaritan went to where he was. Isn't it time we get off our high horse with the shoulder? Isn't it time that we come down from the high place of preeminence of we're it and there's nobody else? Hey, if you got alcohol on your breath, you belong in this church. If you smell like marijuana, you belong in this church. If you got a crack cocaine habit, you belong in my church. AA can't help you. NA can't help you. Psychiatry can't help you. But Jesus can help you. You know why they were first called Christians in Antioch? Because Barnabas, the pastor, invited Paul to come preach. Y'all know him as Saul. Saul had murdered the congregation's family members. That's why they ran to Antioch to get away from Paul. And Paul was coming to preach to them, and they were first called Christians because they loved the man who was preaching to them, who had murdered their sons and husbands. And you can't even let somebody sit on the pew next to you who don't have the same color skin. You won't even let somebody sit on the pew next to you who might have staph or shingles. What's the matter with us? What is the matter with us? Isn't it time we get a dose of the Holy Ghost that says, I love you, brother. You belong here. This is your church. God's going to help you today. We love you here. We want you to be in this church. Hallelujah. On any given Sunday, I'll have spilled over diapers on me, spit up on me, blood on me, grease on me. That's what Sunday mornings are. They're ugly, they're rough, they're fast-paced, they're high energy. Saints don't come pray in altar on Sunday morning. That's our evangelistic service. Yours may be different. Our evangelistic service is to reach and get the gospel to unconverted, to help the helpless, give hope to the hopeless, That was a good question. Next question. Quickly. Next question. Boy, we got 8 minutes stretch. Of the Hawthorne. 8 minutes stretch. Can you believe we're going an hour and 52 minutes?
This is more of a testimony instead of a thing. We've been doing commit every year when we first had the idea about it. And I brought a young man 1 year because our bus ministry was suffering. And I saw it and I was mad at it. And so when I brought him here, he went home, we went to outreach, and he filled my van up with 15 kids. First time. So I'm telling you, there's somebody in here who might need this, and when you go home, there might be somebody who's saying, what can I do in the church? This is the testimonies.
Thank you. There's nothing more joyous. How to get church teams involved in bus ministry. And then the second part of the question, how to get synergies involved. How to get church teams involved in youth ministry. Teenagers, let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the leaders. Teenagers are the lifeblood of the church. The majority of our staff are teens. My daughter was the youngest girl in the state of Louisiana to get her CDL license. The day she turned 18, her birthday, she got a license. Teenagers are the key to reaching teenagers. And then getting center teams involved are children that are in the church as of yet, getting them involved. They all need a job in Sunday school. How? Our supers, as you'll see tomorrow morning, our supers have the answers to that question. You need to talk to Sister Nicole, stand up, Sister Nicole, girls elevate, talk to her. You need to talk to, over here on the far east side, stand up for the boy with the busty, boys elevate. He's over about 12 to 17-year-olds. Boys, she's over 12 to 17-year-old girls. Sister Jessica, 8 to 12 boys. Stand up, Sister Jessica, 8 to 12 boys, 8 to 12 boys. 8 to 12 girls, Sister Nikki, 8 to 12 girls. Sister Nikki, probably working somewhere around here. All right, Sister Tammy, 4 to 7 boys and girls over here on the east. They know that is their age group. They know how to reach those children. And I can't do what they do. They can't do what I do. They're as important to their area as I am to my area. They can't reach the people that God sent me to, and I can't reach the people that God sent them to. That's their area, that's their church. They specialize in reaching that class, that age, that group of people. And how to get them involved. You get them involved, and we reward faithfulness. If you come so many Sundays and start obeying these 10 rules, this checklist, then we'll start picking you up for Sunday night, Tuesday night church. That's a reward for them. It promotes faithfulness. It promotes obedience to the Word of God, scripture memorization, certain criteria that they have a little checklist for, and then those children will start gradually becoming more and more involved in the church. That's important. That way you're not just getting them on Sunday morning. You're getting them on Sunday nights and midweek services, and then teaching them a whole Bible study every week. So important. God, as I stretch forth my hand over this congregation today, I impart the ministry and the gift of soul winning. Unctionize them, anoint them. When their feet touch the asphalt, the concrete, the gravel, and the mud today, everywhere that they walk is territory claimed for Jesus Christ. That door that they're knocking has an impossible situation on the other side of it. There's abuse, there's drugs, there's crime, there's hate, there's prejudice, there's racism, there's immorality. But God, I'm there, dispatched by you to give the gospel of Jesus Christ to them. I anoint every card that we hand out today. I anoint as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ that when it gets stapled to someone's wall or magnetized to the refrigerator door, that person's going to look at that card and they love us moment, and they're going to know somebody cares about me and tell me about Jesus. They're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call me, and I'm going to be the means to their miracle. God, I'm going to leave a card on that door, whether somebody answers that door or not. I'm going to leave a card on a windshield wiper, whether I think people will throw it away or not. I'm going to leave a card on an abandoned, vacated home because the next tenant of that home, mobile home or apartment complex, when they lease this out, they're going to get this card. I will be no respecter of persons, age, race, walk of life, or sexual preference. But I'm here today to give them Jesus. And God ordained everybody in this congregation, not just today to win souls, but when they go back to their city, they're going to transform their church. Their pastor is going to see a change in them. Their children are going to see a change in them. Rule number 1, 2 by 2. Man and woman, 2 women, man and child. 2 by 2, only indoors. Rule number 2, leave a card on their door. Rule number 3, knock so they can hear you. Yeah. Don't walk up there wild. Come on. Same shoulder, flat footed. Put your best smile on and say, I'm here to fight you out of the church. You're going to be here a long way. At 8:45, 9:05, ask the captain what time the bus will be. I'll make a deal with you. Yeah, what's that? You come to this church one time, you won't ever stop going. It's going to be great. You got breakfast and families, you learn about Jesus. Just say, come read your essay that you wrote, please. Find it on your phone and read it. I know we're over time, but we're going to do this real quick. Now that I've ordained you, many. That lady that I said, are you the one that's here baptizing? She had this baby a few years later, and gave this baby up. Sister Lacey right there, +7. Sister Lacey's raising many now. Sister Lacey raises a lot of children in our church. Come aboard that lady. Let me raise that lady. Read.
As I traveled to the subdivision, I noticed that there were children swarming over doorsteps and playing in almost every driveway. At first glance, it appears to be a very happy, thriving place. Then I began my work. As I approached the first door with the invite in my hands, I could more clearly see what remained in it. The grassy yard is in need of watering, for there are many dead patches, with dirt showing through underneath. Next to the broken sidewalk, there are bits of trash, blown and scattered by the wind. As I lift my hand to ring the doorbell, I notice it is hanging from the wall with the wires exposed, so I knock loudly instead. It takes several knocks, for there is loud music coming from within. A face appears in a cracked window, partially covered by a blanket instead of a curtain. Finally, the door opens, just a crack, and standing there is an angel. She is about 5 years old, with the sad eyes of a teenager. Her hair is falling into her eyes, greasy from days of neglect. Her face has yesterday's lunch remains stuck to it. Her fingernails have remnants of black grit from her recent enjoyment for making mud pies. Her unmatched clothes have been dug out from beneath a pile of dirty laundry in a corner. Nevertheless, she smiles up at me. Hello. I smile my sweetest smile, as if to project my love to her if only through this one smile. She's nervous, looking around her shoulder to see if there's someone else that I would be smiling at. She thinks she's undeserving of my love. So I stoop down to her level. I came here to see you, I tell her softly. Oh, how her eyes light up, and once again she has the innocent eyes of a child. I then tell her about Sunday school, how the big church bus will pick her up tomorrow morning and bring her to my church. I tell her about breakfast, the songs, the puppets, and most of all, she will learn about Jesus, the one who loves her the most. From inside, a man yells, "Who is that? Shut the door." I notice that she flinches at his voice. I tell her to get her mommy or daddy to come outside and talk to them and get permission for her to come to church with me. She looks scared all of a sudden, and she shrinks back into herself, her head down, her eyes dull. I tell her, I know you want to come, but I have to ask her. She turns and disappears for a few minutes. When she returns, she says, my mommy's asleep and won't wake up. My daddy isn't here. So I step into the house where it is dim and hot. In a corner in front of the television is a big burly man in cut-off jeans without a shirt. There are many empty beer cans scattered around his chair. The tiny angel wraps her little arms tightly around my legs and hides her face in my skirt as I stand in front of him. I am not the least bit scared. I feel as though a host of angels are standing behind me, and I'm facing a squatty, weak demon from the pits of hell. Are you her dad? I ask. He says no. His eyes are bloodshot, his pupils are dilated. I go through my whole invitation again as quickly as possible, repeating myself several times. And he asks, huh? May she please go, I ask. Then he says the words that I was waiting to hear. I don't care. So she and I quickly turn and go outside to the porch. She is so excited and asking so many questions. Please, if I'm not outside, will you knock on the door in case they change their mind? Of course, I will. As we hug and say goodbye, I turn to walk away. I take a deep breath. I can feel the Holy Ghost moving me, and my eyes fill with tears. Thank you, God, for bringing me to this door. Thank you, God, for giving me the strength to go there, even though my heart is breaking to imagine what she must go through. She could possibly become a pastor's wife just like me one day, all because I'm not. It's worth every knock. It's worth every disappointment, every trial, to just reach one. Then I realized that this is our mission field. Our mission field is here in that church. We support missions all over the world. We send money, we offer prayers, while here in our own city is a world still untouched by the Christian witness. Go ye therefore means to go, but we do not have very far to travel to be our own missionaries. How can we neglect those that are hurting and dying lost right here at home? We must work, we must commit, we must spend our money, our time, in this mission field, our very own given to us by God. I wrote this about 12 years ago when we first began. I hope it blessed you today.
You can be given a number, that's the bus that you're going to get on. And get on those buses, go out in the field for 2, some people 3 hours.
depending on where you are.